Thank you, Ken. I'll start by saying that all of the notes for what I'm going to describe are on the district website, and maybe somebody can put a link to it on our website.
Jerry.
I can do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Ken, it seemed like you couldn't hear me. Can you hear me okay?
No, I was talking to Rebecca. Sorry.
You were like, man.
I saw her look too. Okay. All right. Anyway,
So,
sorry. Go ahead.
what I'm going to talk about today, and if you get anything from my message, get the message that if you've never had a Rotary International experience, oh my gosh, as soon as the world opens up and you can do it, by all means do. It is just such an amazing experience. So having started the Los Gatos Rotary Morning Club and being its first president and the district calling it the best new club they'd ever seen, the gift that I got was the coveted position to go lead the GSE team, which is Group Study Exchange, to Japan. Oh my God, wonderful. We had an exchange with District 2700 on the island of Kyushu in Japan. Kyushu is the bottom island. What was pretty fascinating is that, you know, I had this impression of all of Japan looking like, you know, Tokyo, like you'd be in this box. And people had the impression there of all of America looked like LA. So when I went to Japan, I was a bit nervous about, oh my gosh, what am I going to find? And I can't speak the language, and will I be safe? And, you know, so there was some real trepidation around it. We did a lot of preparation. I was blessed with a great team. As the team leader, I took 4 other people with me. They were always chosen as young professionals, and the point of the group study exchange is to go have those young professionals experience in Japan what their profession looks like, you know, to stay with the host families and to just really enjoy the international exchange. We were pretty funny because, you know, in Japan, pretty much people all look alike. Well, the district governor at the time here decided he'd have a little sense of humor. First of all, was appointing me as the GSE team leader because, you know, there were about 2 women in the clubs in Japan, so that was totally unexpected. Secondly, my team was, I had Harry, who was a firefighter who was about 7 feet tall, not really, but he seemed like that in Japan. I had Julia, who was blonde, and she worked for one of the tech companies. I had Monica, who was Hispanic, and I had Antonio, who was rather short, black guy, and he's since become a pilot for American. All saying we had this enormously diverse team that the district governor did find, you know, to be sort of not only representative of America, but had some humor in our going. So we left on April 9th, met at the airport. Prior to that time, we did some prep. Now what I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you slides. I just wanted you to have that overall understanding. And we'll go through some slides, and I'll try to interject in the slides what was going on, although it might be a little challenging, so bear with me. So I'm going to take me off the video.
Can I just ask real quick before you get into this, Joan?
Yes?
Everybody, until you're speaking, just put your own microphone on mute. That way we don't get any back feed from whatever's happening wherever you are. And then when you want to speak, you can unmute it.
So I'm going to play a slideshow for you, and I'll comment as I go along. This is us learning a group song before we go. That's us being welcome to Fukuoka. The plane, it was like 16 hours flight. So we're all on the plane. That's Monica. That's Harry and Antonio.
Oh, Joan, you're not, the pictures aren't showing. Did you share the screen?
Oh, maybe. Hold on. I thought so.
No, really,
Go back to Zoom.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Apparently not. Here you go. Okay. File, play slideshow. That's
Okay, yeah.
again. So this is being welcome to Fukuoka, which was the major city that we flew into. Why isn't this going? Hold on just a second. It's not playing it as a slideshow. Play slideshow. So here we are learning the song that we were going to sing as we went to different Rotary clubs. The woman on the left was in my prior Rotary club. I don't know why this isn't just proceeding. It's not playing the slideshow. Why? Play slow. Brian, it's not playing the slideshow. I'm going to.
Well, it worked yesterday.
I know. I'm going to unshare for a minute from Zoom and reshare.
Spanning generations.
I have to push myself every once in a while thinking about the kinds of
Is
records.
it your house?
Olson, you're muted.
Sorry, guys.
While you're doing that, I'm going to ask a question that you remind me of with your problems. I'm having a terrible time with Comcast television. I'm wondering if anybody else is.
Did you pay your bill?
I did, yeah. I've got
I'm just kidding.
I've got several wireless sets, and they just don't work during the day and most of the time. And the main one that comes in on a cable link works most of the time, not always. So I'm thinking that Comcast is just totally overloaded during the day with internet.
Yeah, actually, my friend in Mountain View was complaining about the same thing.
Oh, was
So
it?
it must be, yeah, it must be something weird with Comcast.
Good. Well, thank you. That's what I wanted to hear, that it wasn't just me.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
You might try resetting your Wi-Fi router too.
Resetting in terms of, I unplug and plug it back in.
Yeah, I mean, that's about the best you can do unless you
Yeah.
do a hard reset, so yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you would have gone to Chico State, you might be more street savvy, Bill.
There you are. That's true. San Jose Night School.
Joan, you got it figured out?
I don't know what to do because it's not sharing the slideshow and it's not letting me go to the next picture.
Why don't you just continue to tell us about your experience and like what was the overall purpose? What did you gain from it?
So much more fun to see the pictures.
Hey, Joan, if you just do a right arrow, does that just go through the slides?
Yeah, like if you can click it one at a time.
I'm trying and it's not even going through the slides.
That's weird.
Let me see.
Here, I can't read that. Yeah, so wait. So yeah, at the bottom, no, get out of that screen. At the bottom, see how you just see the pictures down at the bottom?
Yeah.
You could just click on those. Yeah, so then click on the next one.
Okay, I guess that's the way we'll have to do it because it's not playing it.
I mean, that's what I,
Okay, so that was the plane going over
yeah.
on
there
the
we go.
plane.
Look at you, young buck.
Yeah, that's Monica. She was one of my team members. There's
Is that your
Harry,
daughter?
Antonio. They always thought when we were there that we looked alike.
Yeah.
That's Antonio and Julia. So we're in the airport. Me, the three of us, we're just arriving, and we're arriving in Fukuoka. Fukuoka was like San Francisco, then Kitakishu was like Oakland. And then we were down south of that, which was very much like being down in San Jose. So the area was surprisingly similar to where we live. It was on the coast in a big bay. We're being welcomed here by our hosts. Very lovely people. Tanaka-san on the left was like my family that I really came to love. This is Harry, big as he was and overwhelming to the Japanese. This is our team, the first night, all dressed up in the lobby, getting ready to go. We had beautiful, we were all conformed to the Rotary image. That was Mika, and she was our guide. They did lovely entertainment for us. So that's some of the entertainment that Mika is giving us our pins so we can start officially, and they would put those on our jackets. We stopped for a local pastry. The food in Japan was amazing. We got very fascinated, obviously, with the toilets, and all the stuff that the toilets could do. We're now in Fukuoka, which is a big city right on the coast, beautiful city, again, comparable to San Francisco. On the streets, all of this is Fukuoka. This is the water's edge in Fukuoka. Very lovely city. This is the district governor. We're giving him our gift here, and we had a picture taken of all of us, so it's in the book that we gave to him as a commemorative piece. This is at the party that they did for us the night that we got there. This is Azimi. He was wonderful. He was a physician. He really hosted us when we were in Japan and made sure that we got from place to place. This is a photograph of the first night party that they had for us. So many of these people in the photograph turned out to be our host families. We stayed for about a week in each one of the host families and then moved around the prefecture. So we got to see everything from the city to the country, and just amazing generosity. The food was delicious that night. This is the first Rotary Club that we went to, which is Fukuoka. It's a really big club. It would be like the San Jose Rotary Club. And my team, more of the team sitting in the Rotary meeting. This is Antonio with his first host family. So we stayed in people's homes, which was a wonderful experience, got to know personally many people. We traveled by bus, by car, all over. We're at the American consulate here where we came. We had just enormous opportunities to see and do things, not only being in Rotary, but also Rotary is a very prestigious organization in Japan. So we had a lot of access to places that you might not normally get to go. That's a lovely expression on my face, apparently. But my whole team in back of me. We boarded the trains, Fukuoka. The train from Fukuoka would take you down. It would be like taking the train from San Francisco down to San Jose. All of us on the train. This is another Rotary Club. I collected many, many Rotary flags. This is Azumi's club, which was down in the southern part. The Club of Omata, as you see on the flag right there. They were welcoming us in Japanese with our names. Initially I thought of the Japanese as more serious. Oh no, this group was fun, playful, very hospitable. I also thought, that the houses in Japan were going to be really small, like I think of as Tokyo. Oh no, it kind of looked like the South Bay. You know, these are houses that we saw on the train as we were going south. Pardon? Antonio and Harry having a good time. This is us writing our newsletter to send home, which we did every day, and that's the journal I was telling you about. We're starting now to go to another club with Hashi, and you'll see some more pictures of him. Antonio joined the Japanese sushi makers. This was at another club. This was the family that I became closest to. It was Tanaka-san's family, and to this day, which is years later, I is the person on the in the red shirt, and she translated for me the whole time I was there. She's been to America for 2 days, and she spoke English as well as I did. It was just phenomenal to me. She works in Tanaka-san's company, and then we headed off to a little town called Azuki. Oh my gosh, it was gorgeous. It was in the mountains, and we spent the day here. We were going up here. You can see the cherry trees behind us. We had a wonderful lunch up here. All of us enjoying the town. Wonderful lunch. That's Azumi on the left and Tanaka-san on the second left, and our whole team. We were there because we were going to this Buddhist temple. So here we are at the temple, all of us. Tanaka-san. And then in the evening, we had a really fun time. We went off to make soba noodles. So we went to this house, and here's Monica starting to prepare the dough. Tanaka-san and I. Now she's cutting the dough. Julia with her hands in it. A feast was had.
So they cut the noodles by hand? Sorry.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah, at least where we were in this case. And if you know,
Yeah.
soba noodles are made from a root of a tree. So they're not made with dough like we normally make them.
Yeah.
So then I mentioned that we were in Fukuoka, which is on one side, just like San Francisco is. And then we went to Kyushu, which is on the other side. So now you're seeing us depart to that. Many of our fun friends. Kobayashi-san is on the left, and he had the largest knitwear company. He employed something like 30,000 people in China to produce and put together knitwear. And you'll see him later. He was a very good friend of Tanaka-san's. But now we're coming to a really fun part. Now we're coming to the district conference. And we stayed at Tachibana's house. That's his house. He was a shogun. And they hosted us for the district conference. And now you're going to see the beginning of the district conference. So there's Azumi again and Mika. Both of these guys are hosts in Japan. You're seeing the district governor give us what's called our happy coats. There we are, our team on the stage of their district conference in our happy coats. Now the Japanese team to join us. If you remember back at this time, Kenji, who's pretty much in the middle of this picture, he led the team back to Japan. He was a total kick. He was a wine connoisseur, the richest guy in Kirikisho, the big city, which is akin to Oakland. He had imported and exported farm equipment, particularly to the wine industry in America, and was just a great guy. So then they invited me to speak on the stage. It was a very poignant moment for me because my father actually died the night before we went to Japan. And they were very gracious. Everyone told me to go ahead and go, so I did. And honestly, it was the trip of a lifetime. So you can see how much the Japanese team all looks alike and how different we all look as we represented America. A picture at the district conference with many of the notable people there. The man on the right, you're going to see more of him. He was a famous artist. This was the entertainment that night at the district conference. We're sharing fun with the Japanese team out on the balcony, getting to know them because we're excited because they're going to come to America the next year and the exchange, GSE exchange. And everybody just got along so well. Now, this was a really fun part. If we could ever figure out how to have a district conference like this, that it would be amazing. So here we are. We've gotten our stuff together, and we're down, and we're at this resort that Tachibana, the district governor, owns, who was a shogun in Japan. And you'll see there are all these boats lined up. And now we're going to board the boats. So that's our team and the Japanese team in this boat. And they're serving us dinner. And you'll see that everybody at the district conference is getting in the boats. Julia and Monica having some fun. Now the guy in the back is pushing us off. And all the boats are headed down the river. There must have been 100 boats. It was really amazing because we were at one location where they boarded, but there were many other locations. So now all the people are in the boats having dinner, cruising down the river. This is our boat about to go under and experience what's coming. Here we're going under a bridge. Here, and what was fun is that the boats would stop along the river bank and periodically, and then the other boats would go by. So by this rotation, you got to pretty much see everybody who was at the district conference and wave and say hello, and then your group would go and you'd see the people in front of you. It was really well organized. All the boats going down the river. Beautiful houses along the river. Now it's starting to be dusk. And now we see this group that's playing music to us. We see this group that's playing, that's Harry with his camera. We see this group, so all along the river, there's all kinds of different music and acrobats and different stuff. A children's group right here. We head under lights and different scenes along the river. And then we finally come to this big stage where there's this full orchestra on the stage that played for us for, half an hour or so while we enjoyed camaraderie in the boats. There were dances on the stage. And then we all jumped out of the boats. It's a little difficult to see, but the Japanese team and the American team are now on the stage, and lots of applause and, happiness. That's Mika on the left. That's Harry, you can see because he's so tall. And, everybody's dancing and having a great time. And then they had a whole display of fireworks, which was beautiful. More fireworks. The fireworks. And now the boats are beginning to leave. That's the district governor, Tachibana, right there. I'm actually right behind him. And all the boats are coming underneath us on the bridge as they're headed back to their moorings. The next day, we were headed to Kitakishu, which is, again, like Oakland, and an industrial city. Much more industrial than Fukuoka. As a result, not quite as beautiful, but an amazing city, very wealthy city. So these are pictures from, and here we were hosted by Hashi. He was so funny. He looks, the wit of the group of people that we were with, and they all did magic tricks. The wit was just amazing, and the generosity. I actually felt that the Japanese had an openness of heart like I had never seen or experienced in my life. The generosity, the humor, their concern about you, making sure you were having a good time, that you were tended for. You know, you couldn't pour your own glass of wine, your own beer. The person next to you had to be paying attention and making sure that your glass was full. It just was an experience I couldn't even have imagined. Hashi is a purveyor of clothing. He manufactures and owns clothing. The people that we met, this would be his Rotary Club. I think we visited like 35 Rotary Clubs. I'm going to tell you an interesting story here that it's humorous to me today, but you have to remember this is years ahead. When I would speak at the Rotary Club, I would always say, yes, our Rotary Club is 50% women, and I am the president of the club. And the International Rotary president had made his year a statement for women to be in Rotary. However, I got a message from our district governor and the district that said, please don't say in Japan that women should be in Rotary. I was like, what? And I wrote back and I said, excuse me, but the worldwide president is saying that. And they said, no, you shouldn't say that because you shouldn't change the traditions in Japan. I thought that was like very confusing. Here's Harry speaking at this Rotary Club. We, of course, all had many chances to speak. This is Mr. Kobayashi and his wife. He has the worldwide knit company, and I later traveled to China with him to see their operations in China, which was fabulous. So he's showing me his plant, and the thing I didn't say is that each one of my team had a different profession. So Harry was a firefighter, Antonio was becoming a pilot. Each one had a different profession. So part of the plan in Japan was to see what your profession looked like in Japan, because it was a professional exchange. I got to do a variety of things. In fact, my study in Japan was onsen. And if you know onsen, that means spa. And I totally loved the Japanese spas. So, but I did visit Kobayashi-san's factory this day. And I have spent many years knitting, so I was showing him that I knew how to knit as well. He showed me technology where he could speak to his company in China and actually see the stitch in the sweater, which at the time was really amazing technology because we hadn't seen that yet. The markets and the food in Japan were just fabulously beautiful. This again is the Rotary meeting. We were always looking very Rotary-fied. And this is more of, so now we're at another club outside of Kirikishu. There are always gifts and, you know, Japanese stuff and more flags in the generosity of people. Here we are. This was really fun. We were at one of the days in Kirikishu. They took us to the Nippon steel plant. Seeing a steel mill is fascinating. Huge, big, you know, all kinds of flames and stuff being moved from here to there. The president of Nippon Steel was in Rotary, so we had met him prior to that time. And here's Genji, all dressed up as we are embarking on seeing the plant. They uniformed us appropriately. Then we went off to Toto, which was really fun. The president of Toto was in the club. So again, we have Kenji on the right. I don't know where the rest of my team is, but they were all there that day as we went through watching how they actually make the toilet bowls, fire them, how they get smaller in the process, you know, and the elaborate features that go into a Japanese toilet. We're visiting Busan West here. Then we went to the Japanese air base, and they showed us the famous Japanese fighter planes. This was on Antonio's day. He's second to the left, who was fascinated by aircraft, and they were very generous, because this is not something that you get to do, you know, if you're just a tourist in Japan. So they told us a lot about the aircraft. Now we're back in Kenji's home. Very big wine connoisseur, so the wine flowed easily. But in Japan, they serve everything all at one time, like beer and wine and shrimp and beef, and you know, it's a collage of food. Now what we're doing is we've headed from Kenji's home. We all got, this was funny to me because, again, I thought, yeah, the classic line of being in Japan was, it's so different, but it's so the same. We all piled in Kenji's Range Rover, and we were headed up to something called Heroine, which is the Japanese equivalent of Tahoe. So now we're up in the mountains, enjoying a wonderful dinner that night, and about to experience the beauty of Tahoe. This for me was an onsen, one of the beautiful Japanese spas, which you could hardly drag me out of. In this picture, that's Kenji on the left, and Seiko Ryu on the right. He's a very famous painter in Japan. I would have died to have one of his pictures. He painted like this, which was gorgeous. Unfortunately, they were beyond my means at the time, so I did not come home with one, but I would have loved to. This is his house, where we went back and he played the piano for us and showed us his artwork. And now we're overlooking the valley of Heroine, which again is similar to Tahoe and so beautiful. The beauty up there was enormous. The next day we went off to Takamoto, who was a general in the Japanese army. And one of the things that just really astounded me was how I knew that history, but at the same time, in the same generation, we were being welcomed with open arms into people's houses, their generosity. It was just such a huge contrast to me that we could have gone from you know, such anger against each other to what I was experiencing, which was such love and generosity. Takamoto-san built big robots. Harry was fascinated because one of the robots was a robot that went into fires and actually could help to put the fire out with any human being in that. We're now back to another Rotary Club, Kokura, more flags. We visited the Japanese car manufacturers, Toyota. Again, the president was in Rotary. And we had lots of backyard barbecues, which were just fun. Again, this is just, you know, everything was served all at once. So this is the night. I actually stayed with Takamoto and his family. And he said when I walked into his house, in my house, you are my daughter. You are treated with the best. So we're at a barbecue here. And then this was the only woman president of a Rotary Club in Japan. That she was the very first woman to become the president of a Rotary Club. That's Takamoto-san, and they're waving us goodbye as we're leaving Kitakishu and going back to Fukuoka. So we're taking the train back. This picture is the Japanese geisha house, which had closed down because corporations would no longer approve the payment on expense accounts to geisha houses. We're back with Izumi now, back in Fukuoka. The display of foods was amazing. Heshi, who you remember was in the clothing business, he was very funny. Izumi, who was the doctor, very funny. The friendships that were formed were just enormous. So we went to a soccer game. Everybody at the soccer team were with the Japanese team that was returning to America. My favorite, again, the hot springs. They had a party for us on board a ship that went along the coast of Fukuoka. So we got to look at the city, looking back at the ship. This was entertainment for the night. Again, my team, all looking very... and then the night proceeded on to karaoke with the Izumi singing on the left. And the woman down here on the right was on the team coming back the next year to America, and she was the only woman on their team. Here, we are going to a very famous Buddhist temple. It was a remarkable experience because we got to go into places that were not accessible. The gardens, of course, were just beautiful, magnificent. I'm standing here with one of Japan's most famous Buddhist monks, as I understood it. It was really funny because the room behind us, he taught us all meditation, but I asked him not to interrupt me in between where he kind of gave a break. And then he came running after me later and said, "I've never seen an American who can meditate like you can." Again, more of the gardens. They took us in to see some very old, famous Japanese artifacts, one of which was the bell for the monastery, and Harry's getting a crack at the bell. These were precious Japanese artifacts that were housed at this monastery, or the gardens. We later went to a Japanese parade. I love Japan because it's so colorful, and the kids are absolutely darling. So that was really cute and fun. This is who was my translator. We're boarding the plane. If you know it, this is the Silver Temple. There are two famous temples in this area that we went to, the Silver Temple, and this is the Gold Temple. And there's always a question about which did you think was more beautiful. I actually felt that the Silver Temple was more beautiful. And then as my time there was coming to a close, they had another barbecue out in the backyard of Tanaka-san, at Tanaka-san's house, and invited their whole Rotary Club. And the surprise to me was that they dressed me up in a kimono. So this woman came, and she, and of course I still couldn't understand much of the language. So part of the fun of not understanding the language is you get to watch people's expressions and the energy you get from them. And so I didn't know what was happening, and all of a sudden she was putting up my hair for the Japanese kimono and they dressed me up in the Japanese kimono, which is really fun. with this big bow on the back of me, and took pictures. That's when I became Japanese. This is Tanaka-san's plant. Our office, he imports and exports netting and other kinds of things in the fish industry. This was the family that I became closest to. Again, his wife Teiko, and Tanaka-san. And I visited again in Japan, I think 3 more times after this trip, because it had been so much fun and the relationships just endured and still have endured to this time. So it was just an enormous blessing to be offered the opportunity to do this. Again, I just want to say, if you haven't had an international experience, go do it, because it was that welcoming that you get in another country when you're in Rotary is just fabulous. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
All
That's
right,
cool.
great, Joan.
How
Hey,
long did you go in total?
I was there the first time for 5 weeks, and then I've been back 3 more times. So I was there for like 3 months total.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And I don't think they run the GSE program any longer, which is really a shame. I was going to check that,
wow.
because it's just an experience of a lifetime.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Art, do you know
Hesh-
anything about that? Is Art still there?
Can we get back to the
I guess not.
Yeah, I am here, but no, I do not know anything about it. It's news to me, but maybe you're sure if he's around.
Okay.
I can tell you.
I don't know who that is. I think that's you, Art.
Miles.
Oh, it's Miles. All right. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Rebecca, do you have something?
Yeah, sorry. When I was muting myself, I was trying to process of elimination if the sound was me, but it wasn't.
Oh.
Do you remember the Heshi's clothing line name?
I know, but I have a book. I could figure it out.
Okay, I would love to know his clothing line name.
Okay. And I can tell you one thing, that my team, fortunately, was beautiful. It went like butter. Everybody got along really well. The following year, I forget where they went, but somebody almost died. So, the team, so
Is that Paul? Like, is it a heart thing?
That's not a heart monitor.
So the teams over the
Why
years,
I was doing that.
the teams over the years had a variety of success, but this team really, it was really just, the experience was wonderful.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Is there any questions? Anybody have any other questions?
I probably stayed with 4 or 5 families, from the country to the city so I really got a wide view of the tradition of Japanese life, as well as Kenji, who's new rich and, was part of the new generation of Japan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's the best, when you stay with families and you get to really see how they live,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Miles, do you have anything to say? Are you still there? Miles? Okay, I guess not. All right.
Joan, did you?
Hey. Yeah, go ahead. I'm
Did
sorry,
you
Bill.
have contact with people who are in smaller towns or rural villages at all? And the reason I ask that is to see if you caught a difference in the way the country's evolving. We felt and heard that they have difficulty maintaining people in the small towns just as we do. Did you catch any of that, or were you not in places of that kind?
Oh no, we were in 35 clubs or more in the perfecta, which would be like our county. It'd be like being in our whole district, okay? And it was everything from the 2 big cities to very rural, you know, where it took us 5 hours to get there and we were out on the coast. So we really got to see a huge span. And there was quite a difference between clubs, you know, as to attitude. And Kenji and I would laugh because when we got out to some of the rural clubs, they were so serious. They didn't laugh as much. I don't know about, you know, their success in sustaining them, but the thing I can tell you is Rotary is so strong in Japan. It's such an honor to be in Rotary. They treat it very differently than we do, unfortunately, here. And if you're a Rotarian, that is a mark of excellence. So you strive to maintain that.
Yeah, that's so true.
Whoever's
yeah, I
whoever's screen sharing, can you remove your screen sharing so we can see everybody who's in the meeting now?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
It's okay. I'm not sure who had it.
Joan, I was wondering if the first city you went to, was that where the earthquake and the nuclear power plants were?
Fukushima?
Yeah, no, Kitakyushu is on the bottom island. I think the earthquake.
Oh, okay.
Up
That
here.
was in Fukushima.
Yeah, which is a
On
northern.
Honshu.
Yeah, it's a normal. I'm trying to figure out how to stop screen sharing here.
I'm sorry.
Stop share. There we go.
There you go.
Oh,
There you go.
Sorry.
cool.
There's everybody.
So, yeah, we were in the bottom island, which was the 5th island down, and we were just like if we would just be in our district, we were in the district, they called it the perfecta. So it's about the same size as our district. And we traveled from the major cities all the way out into the to the distant farmlands and coastal cities or coastal towns.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So you really got to see the country, all different aspects of it. That's cool.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Uh-huh.
That's really cool. Okay, are there any other questions?
Thanks for sharing, Joan.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah,
Joan. Nice presentation.
Joan, that was
Thank you,
great.
Joan.
Thank
That
you.
was really, really cool.
Very nice. Yeah, very nice, John.
Thank you. I wish I could have had you all with me.
Ah,
Yeah, that would have been fun.
Uh-huh.
Move to
A lot
North
of good
Carolina.
food
That'll
and
happen
Just-
soon. I
drinking.
think.
just a bunch of misfits in Japan.
Well,
I'm staying with Bill Bynum.
well, we were a bunch of misfits in Japan, but they encouraged it. They encouraged the playfulness and the fun and.
It's cool. So I want to say one thing. Brian's commenting on me drinking my Corona. Now, I'm getting used to this third Corona, so I think I'm going to stick with this. This is cool.
Oh, that's very good, Ken. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it. Okay, so
Well, maybe I'll have a Guinness. I'm going to have a Guinness next time.
yeah, but this is for the coronavirus. I don't normally drink Corona, so.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So next week we have Shelter Box, which should be interesting to see what they're doing and if they're acting in any way around the world in terms of shelters. So I guess we'll hook up next week again. And Joan, again, thank you. That was cool. I like the photos were cool and all the stories were really neat.
Can I say one more thing? One thing that maybe for our club to consider is forming a relationship with a club in Japan, like Tanaka-san's club, you know, so that we actually have a sister club in Japan. And that would be very
I think that'd be cool. Yeah,
Neat.
absolutely. You'll be our ambassador, Joan.
Yeah, that means I have to go back.
Shucks.
Shucks.
Yeah.
Sounds terrible.
That's
Yeah.
neat. I like that idea.
But I could check into forming an alliance with them so that we can learn what they're doing in their projects and, you know.
Yeah, I think that's neat. That's a cool thing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we will reconvene next week at 12:30 and learn about Shelter Box. If you have any, Brian, you're going to send out the same information.
Yes, I will.
So I just want to hats off to Brian. He's doing a really good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Thank
Doing
you.
really good.
He's a really great president. I have one more thing.
What?
I have one more thing. And it actually, It's perfect from Joan's presentation. I forgot to tell you all, because we haven't seen each other since I went to Pets, of the new theme for the coming year, and we did get our flag. And the new theme is
Oh, wow.
Rotary opens opportunities. So whatever that looks like, and we can determine that, right?
Cool.
Yeah.
They liked me so much that I do have 2 of them, so we can do anyways. But then I took the liberty and got everybody in the club a pin that it represents the Rotary opens opportunities. So once we can all see each other, I mean, I can drive by and just launch them at your front door if you want. But anyways, I just wanted to share that with y'all.
That's cool. Maybe next week you could
All
spend
right.
5 minutes and tell us about what you guys did.
Okay, I have to remember.
Did you go to the Hawaiian room?
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
No, I
did you
didn't
go to
go to.
Hawaii?
I didn't go to any of the rooms at night.
Okay, never mind.
Oh.
That's all you want to know about?
Well, that's where all the fun stuff is.
No, there was a couple of good seminars. There's actually
Okay.
some. Do you know that there's some clubs that are called like backyard neighborhood communities?
No.
Called something. Maybe Art, you know what I'm talking about. It's called like It sounds really creepy. And they were like, well, maybe we should get the moms involved. And it's called like bedroom communities.
Yeah, familiar with that, in our district anyway, but maybe it's a different district.
I don't
We had
know.
several districts represented at that pets activity.
Anyways, I'm going off topic, but I was introduced to bedroom communities, and they were trying to find moms to get involved.
Oh, let's put Burke. Burke is single and mingling. Why don't we have him be our ambassador?
I wasn't on board with it. I looked at him. I said, "You shouldn't say that ever again." Oh my God.
It was Rebecca's idea, actually.
It was not.
Yeah,
No, that's what they already have. They're considered a club in a bedroom community.
Okay, with that.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you guys next week, 12:30, and we're gonna have a shelter box and bring any announcements, and hopefully we'll have more information on how long this is gonna last.
Perfect.
All right.
Excellent.
Thank you, everybody.
Is anybody attending the small business seminar at 3 o'clock with Johnny and the lawyers, or no?
No.
They should have Baker do it.
Yeah, he should.
Yeah.
Baker's,
Go
that's a
tell him,
different
Ken.
story. No guns, but you can go get a yogurt.
Mhm.
Oh well.
All right.
Anyway, okay,
Anyways.
bye guys.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Wait, bye.
Thanks again, John.
Thank you.
Goodbye.